On December 7th, 1941, the United States naval base at Pearl Harbor, Oahu, Hawaii, was attacked. It would bring the country full force into World War II. Franklin Roosevelt called it a day that will live in infamy. Today, we remember.
Let's dig into this.
The history behind World War II and the Pearl Harbor attack is really a complicated story, so we're going to keep it brief. A thumbnail sketch, if you will. While Hitler and the Third Reich were busy taking over much of Europe, Japan had its own agenda. They had been trying to expand their territory and solve deep economic problems for years by attacking China. It's hard to believe today since China is such a superpower, but true. And Japan had allied themselves with Germany and Italy.
The relationship between the US and Japan had been deteriorating for years due to the Japanese conflicts with China. When Japan officially declared war against China in 1937, the US War Department began to plan for the United States involvement in the conflict, just in case. After the Nanking Massacre, where Imperial Japanese Army forces assaulted and murdered hundreds of thousands of people and then destroyed the city of Nanking, the United States instituted harsh sanctions and trade embargoes. Japan was not happy. Months of negotiations between Tokyo and Washington, D.C. seemed only to make things worse.
We never expected an attack on Pearl Harbor. Hawaii is roughly 4,000 miles from Japan, and they were attacking targets much closer to home. The War Department felt Pearl Harbor was fairly safe of a place for the Pacific Fleet battleships, and almost the whole fleet was there, along with hundreds of planes on the nearby airfields. Japan knew it, and they planned to destroy the entire Pacific Fleet to keep the United States from interfering in their military actions.
The idea of how to do this was taken from a book. The Great Pacific War was published in 1925, written by British naval authority Hector Bywater. It described a fictional war between Japan and the United States that starts with Japan attacking the U.S. fleet. Japanese Admiral Yamomoto believed the plan outlined in the book could be used to bring the United States to its knees and allow Japan to continue expanding their empire.
Early warning signs may have been misinterpreted due to the U.S. military expectations of an attack occurring elsewhere in the Pacific. For instance, on December 6, 1941, a Japanese message was intercepted and decoded that mentioned ship positions and movements at Pearl Harbor. Then, early December 7th, a radar operator reported seeing a large group of aircraft heading towards Hawaii. Since a squadron of B 52 bombers was expected in the area on routine maneuvers, it was assumed these were U.S. aircraft.
After a reconnaissance flight by Japanese aircraft confirmed the Americans had no idea they were coming, a message was sent to the Japanese fleet. The message, Tora, Tora, Tora. It was the code to attack. 353 aircraft were launched from 4 heavy aircraft carriers. The attack force included 40 torpedo planes, 103 bombers, 131 dive bombers, 79 fighter planes, and 35 submarines, 2 battleships, 2 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and 11 destroyers were also used.
Then, at 7:55 a.m. on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, the first wave of 200 planes were heard flying into the harbor. The aircraft hangars and planes were bombed while torpedoes were launched toward the vessels of the fleet. At 8:10 a.m., an 1,800-pound bomb hit the USS Arizona. It crashed through the deck and landed in the forward ammunition magazine. The ship exploded and sank, killing 1,177 of her crew. The second wave hit about 8:50 a.m. and inflicted more damage.
During the 2 waves of the attack, the USS Oklahoma was hit with torpedoes. The ship rolled over and sank. 400 sailors were on board. the USS California, USS West Virginia, USS Maryland, USS Tennessee, USS Pennsylvania, and USS Nevada were all severely damaged. A total of 19 ships were damaged or destroyed. 300 planes were severely damaged or destroyed as well. The Pearl Harbor docks and airfields were also destroyed. 2,403 sailors, soldiers, pilots, and civilians were killed. More than 1,000 more were injured. The attack lasted 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen responded immediately to the attack. Pilots raced to aircraft and attacked the Japanese planes. Second Lieutenant George Welch and Ken Taylor shot down 7 Japanese fighter aircraft and were later awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. USS West Virginia messman 3rd Class Dorie Miller manned a 50 caliber anti-aircraft machine gun on his ship. He had no weapons training. When the ammunition ran out, he helped move the wounded to safety as the ship sank. He was awarded the Navy Cross. Civilian dockyard worker George Walters used his massive crane to try and shield ships. There are incredible stories of heroism from this day, and we wish we could tell each and every one of them. They're all worth remembering.
It was a devastatingly well-planned operation and would have been catastrophic if the Japanese bombers had also taken out the submarine docks and the shipyards. They didn't, and every single one of the fleet's aircraft carriers were not in port where the attack occurred, leaving them undamaged. So the objective of the mission, destruction of the fleet, actually failed. The Japanese lost 29 aircraft and 5 submarines in the attack. 129 Japanese soldiers were taken prisoner.
Instead of the expected response of the United States lifting sanctions and embargoes against them and taking a hands-off approach to their military plans, Japan had, in less than 2 hours, united the people and government of the country against them. The day after Pearl Harbor was attacked, President Franklin Roosevelt addressed a joint session of the U.S. Congress. He called December 7th the date that will live in infamy for the rest of time that day, and requested a declaration of war against Japan. Congress approved the declaration with only 1 no vote. On December 11th, Japan's allies Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. Congress responded by declaring war on Germany and Italy and brought the full might of the United States into World War II.
All but 3 ships attacked at Pearl Harbor were repaired. The USS Arizona was too badly damaged. The USS Utah and USS Oklahoma were considered to be too old and too badly damaged to be worth the cost of raising and repairing them. The United States Navy and civilian contractors spent over 20,000 hours searching and recovering bodies, documents, weapons, and equipment.
In June of 1942, the Pacific Fleet participated in the Battle of Midway and dealt a devastating blow to Admiral Yamamoto and the Imperial Navy by sinking 4 aircraft carriers. And the ships supposedly destroyed at Pearl Harbor? The USS Nevada participated in D-Day operations at Normandy. The USS West Virginia, USS California, USS Tennessee, USS Pennsylvania, and USS Maryland all participated in the battles of the U.S. invasion of the Philippines.
The USS Arizona Memorial is built over the sunken remains of the battleship that is still the resting place of over half those killed during the attack on Pearl Harbor. It is a monument to those who became heroes that day.
We hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.
And we'll see you on the next one.